The movie reviewed in this episode is rated R. Listener discretion is advised.
Mm-hmm.
How about everybody go in your rooms and don't come out?
The quarantine?
Yeah. Why didn't they quarantine themselves?
Well, but like the thing wouldn't have stayed in their room though.
No, that's true.
14 days to flatten the thing.
To flatten the thing?
We did 14 days to flatten the curve.
Oh.
That joke was really funny 4 years ago.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Scary Movie Nights podcast, a bi-weekly podcast where the scares are real, but the friendships are realer. Today, we will be discussing the 1982 cult classic film, The Thing. That's Mariana.
And that's Joan.
And we are your hosts for the night. But first, Mariana, we have another guest on the podcast. One of my dear friends, Curtis, will be joining us today. Welcome to Scary Movie Night.
Welcome. Friend of the podcast.
Yes.
Long-time listener.
So, literally, Curtis was one of the instrumental people who helped me figure out mic stuff, sound stuff, video stuff, editing stuff. So, Curtis, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I feel like I'm getting set up to take the fall if it doesn't work.
Well,
if the audio sucks,
if the audio
that's
sucks,
totally
it's Curtis's fault.
Totally scapegoat.
And of course, another friend of mine, Charlie. I would be remiss if I did not mention his name. Thank you very much, Charlie. Shout out to you. But anyway, Mariana, let me ask you first, what had you flailing your tentacles this week?
I am flailing my tentacles this week because I am not at work this week. Whoop, whoop. One of those great teacher perks. So I'm off for Thanksgiving break. That has got me flailing my tentacles. Joan, what has got you flailing your tentacles?
I'm going to say the exact same thing, girl.
Yeah!
The exact same damn thing. We are off this week. We're watching scary movies, recording a podcast, hanging out with family and friends, and it's going to be fabulous. So I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving week, which is when we're recording this episode.
Yeah.
Curtis, what had you flailing your tentacles this week?
I was going to ask if flailing my tentacles was a good thing or a bad thing.
It's definitely a good thing. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I can't say that I'm off this whole week, but I work from home most of the time, so it can't be so bad.
Nice.
And we live in that former educator life. But I do get off later in the week. I get to see some friends. I get to go see Wicked. So that's going to have me flailing my tentacles like crazy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So we're not like a musical.
Flailing your tentacles and defying gravity.
My tentacles will be defying gravity.
Yes.
As they flail. But enough about that. Let's melt the ice on the thing.
I love it. Okay,
Yay.
Let's start with our no spoiler section. So this is our no spoiler synopsis, courtesy of ChatGPT. Chatty. Thank you. Okay, The Thing, 1982, directed by John Carpenter. It is a sci-fi horror film set in Antarctica. It is a research team stationed at a remote outpost, and they discover this mysterious creature that can imitate other life forms. When the creature is accidentally released, paranoia and distress spiral among the team members as they struggle to determine who is human and who is not. The film explores themes of isolation, fear, and survival with intense suspense and gory special effects that have since become iconic. The growing tension within the group as they face an enemy that they can neither see nor trust drives the narrative to a chilling and uncertain conclusion.
I can't wait to talk about the conclusion.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about the conclusion.
That's such a great point of discussion.
Now, this movie, as I mentioned, and it's titled John Carpenter's The Thing.
Right.
He directed it. He also directed Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Also a masterpiece. He actually initially turned it down. I think the Halloween
producer,
or The Thing?
No, The Thing.
Oh.
So he was the first choice to direct, but they actually I guess the studio already had a director on contract, and it was actually Tobe Hooper. So he directed Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw.
Oh my God. It feels like such an incestuous thing,
Hollywood really is just very incestuous, it seems. So he was set to direct the film, but they didn't like really where he was going, and they didn't really like the script that he came up with, and where he was going with it. In his script, from what I remember reading, the thing actually ate people. It didn't become them. I hope that's not a spoiler. No, that's part of it.
I think it's fine. Also, this movie was released in the 80s, so hopefully you have watched this movie. Yeah,
I was just say careful. It's the release the same year as me, so it's about how old.
Oh, that was a good year for the United States.
That's a great year. So Tobe, they were sorry, no, thank you. And eventually Carpenter came back and he decided to do it. Also, I think Alien had been released just prior, so sci-fi was kind of picking up.
Yes.
And he decided to do it, and then he almost didn't do it again because it was this passion project that he had was about to be made, and then turns out it wasn't. So I think they went back and forth a lot with directors and also with the writer of the screenplay. So I'll talk about that.
I kind of love hearing stories like that, though, because it was almost fated to happen, right? There were so many things that could have gone wrong for this movie not to have been made, and yet it was.
Yes.
Love
and as far as the writing, they, John Carpenter really liked the novella that it is based on. And so there's a movie from the 50s.
Yeah.
And it did not really stick to what was in the novella. It was very different. And John Carpenter, he read it and he wanted his movie to be true to the writing. So when they were trying to find someone to, because Carpenter did not want to write it. He was I don't want to write this.
But he ended up writing it.
He directed it.
Okay,
he did not write it.
He's
not the writer.
Okay.
And a bunch of different drafts were written by several people. They ended up going with someone called Bill Lancaster, and he worked closely with Carpenter, and it took him months to write the script. But yeah, I thought it was really funny. Carpenter was I do not want to write this. I'll direct it, but do not make me write this movie.
I also like the idea that they're yeah, we had the one in the 50s, but that had everybody running from a dang carrot. So if you've seen it.
I've not seen it.
I've not seen it.
The creature is they're it's vegetable based.
Shut up!
But it's a dude in a suit. It's I am a carrot.
It's a plant.
It's vegan.
Low key, that's where M. Night Shyamalan got his idea for The Happening.
Wait, that's crazy.
No, just kidding.
Also, I guess at some point somebody was also that one in the 50s has women in it. Gross.
Yeah, let's have actually
a whole ass sausage fest.
So we watched this movie just last night, and there is 2 women pictured in the film, and they are on a TV show that the men are watching, but the women never actually speak.
Say anything.
The only female presence is the voice of MacReady's computer, his chess computer at the beginning of the movie, and it's actually voiced by Carpenter's then wife, Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, from The Fog.
Okay, interesting.
So just because you brought that up. Now, for casting, I think Kurt Russell's in it. He's MacReady, the helicopter pilot. He was actually the last person to be cast, so they were kind of holding off on casting MacReady because he was a very big character. And they ended up going with Kurt Russell, and apparently he grew out his hair and beard for a year.
And what a mane.
Peak beard.
Literally
the best beard.
I mean,
beard
he is
and
just
the
covered
hair?
in hair. It's all
Hello?
one. It's like a helmet.
Girl, he's warm in Antarctica.
Oh,
okay?
yeah. Yeah, and speaking of which, they were not in Antarctica. They shot in Juneau, Alaska, and
close enough.
in British Columbia. They shot as well. And then they shot in a very, very cold sound studio in LA that they kept very cold using a bunch of air conditioners.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
For the realism.
Yeah.
I just like that they're we see your Bechdel test and we will raise you.
Yeah.
No dialogue for women.
Nothing.
And we will have the manliest Kurt Russell ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the
heaviest
craziest
beard.
hat
With
in
the
the
hat.
world.
Listen, the hat.
Yes. Would you guys like to hear some of the other screenplays that Bill Lancaster wrote?
Yes.
It's not very many.
Yes.
It's The Thing, and then it's Bad News Bears.
Okay.
And then the Bad News Bears TV series. And then the Bad News Bears Go to Japan.
Oh.
And then the Bad News Bears in Breaking Training.
Well, he's nothing if not
The Bad News
consistent.
Bears Tokyo Drift.
And that's it.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Did you say Tokyo Drift?
Yeah.
Too Bad, Two Bears.
Too bad, two bears.
Wow, I'm dead. Literally.
That's so good.
No, Kurt Russell looks great in the film.
He was fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, I can go
Yes,
through the
looks
rest
great
of
and
all of
is
these
acting
actors.
great,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's definitely like the standout character.
Yeah.
Now for the film, it had an original budget of 10 million, but
Whoa.
it ended up being closer to 15. And they spent 1.5 million on creature effects alone.
Of course.
Which was way, way, way over budget. Like, I think initially the budget for the creature effects was like 200,000 or something.
What?
Yeah. And the creature effects were largely designed by someone called Rob Bottin. I hope I'm saying his name right.
I think it's Botine.
Botine. I don't know. But this man was crazy. I mean, like, he was working so hard on this movie that he became ill. Like, he had like a bunch of health issues. He was like basically living at the like sound stages because he was just like working all the time with a group of people, not by himself, to create, you know, the thing, like all these
like all the different versions of the creature. Yeah.
And I think I read that John Carpenter actually like said, you have to go to the hospital. You're not well. Like he got hospitalized.
Oh my God.
No, he literally
Wait.
was like going, yeah.
He was 22.
Wait, that's actually insane.
Yeah. And by the way, full transparency, I only knew it was Botine because I looked it up in the car on the way here. So like, I don't want to sound like I'm like, oh.
Damn, I didn't even.
Well, actually.
I'm actually. I never look how people's names are pronounced, and then I'm sitting here and I'm
Yeah,
saying,
literally.
But
I'm just like, that's interesting. Yes. I'm just gonna take it at face value that that's how you say that name.
But another interesting thing about the special effects is because Rob Bottin was so overwhelmed because when you see this movie, obviously it's 82. There's not going to be any CGI, and we're doing a shape-shifting creature, so it's almost all practical and on set, and it's crazy to set up.
Yeah.
So actually, they had to bring in another crew to help and like take some of the overload of the special effects, and they brought in a young Stan Winston.
Whoa.
Who did he's well known for Aliens and Jurassic Park, and became special effects master in his own right. But he was like, Rob Bottin was like, just come in and help me, please.
Yeah.
So one of the creatures we'll talk about later was the Stan Winston show.
I think I know what you're talking about because I think I want to say John had just finished working on a movie where he had worked on a creature similar to this one, and he was like, I do not want to see that ever again.
I'm not,
For the creature effects, there's a lot about it, but what stood out to me is that they used a variety of materials, including mayonnaise, creamed corn, microwaved bubblegum, and KY jelly.
Whoa.
Which I thought was
in
really
5-gallon
interesting.
tubs.
Yeah, which
In
is
5-gallon
insane.
tubs.
Which I didn't know was available in that, but
Now we know.
Is that for all the goo? Like
I'm
the
sure for
drippy
like
goo and
this movie. It's very goo heavy.
It's very goo heavy.
It's goo forward.
It's honestly not even that gory. It's just goo heavy.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
pretty gory.
I mean, it's gory, but like, I feel like there's more goo than gore.
And I think it's gory. Maybe we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
it's hard to get there without spoiling anything.
Okay. The film was shot in Juneau, Alaska, like I mentioned, and partly in British Columbia for all the outdoor shots, but everything else was in LA sound stages, which were refrigerated to 28 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty freaking cold.
No, thank you.
Filming lasted 12 weeks. And after the first cut, that's when they went to British Columbia because John Carpenter wasn't happy with it. He felt like it was a lot of shots of just men standing around talking to each other. So he wanted some more outdoor shots. So they went back out there. And actually...
Certainly no women. That's not going to fix it.
No, absolutely no women. I don't think this is a spoiler. Is it? You're on
I
it,
would say
Joan.
yeah. I would say yeah, it is. So let's kind of
Okay.
save it for like.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
you're
next
right. It
part.
totally is.
Yeah.
Now, for awards or when this movie was released and critics, this film was not well received.
I heard that. That's crazy to me.
People did not like it. Critics did not like it. It was called all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Partly because of the special effects. People did not like the special effects.
Oh,
They're pretty gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't do that well at the box office either. It finished its opening weekend at number 8. And it was 8 behind Poltergeist. However, it was Poltergeist's like 4th weekend since it had come out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until many years
Dang.
later that it was like really appreciated and became a cult classic. And it kind of really, I mean, I'm not gonna say it ruined John Carpenter's career, but it definitely derailed his career, and he lost the opportunity to work on some projects as a result of working on The Thing. It received some nominations from the Academy of Science Fiction, fantasy and horror films for Best Horror Film and Best Special Effects, but it lost to Poltergeist and E.T. Respectively.
Dang.
Which is crazy because it's scarier than Poltergeist and
Yes.
has better effects than E.T.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%.
I really like this movie, and
It's a good movie.
One of my favorite things about it were the creature effects. Like,
Oh yeah.
Well, what I've kind of come to find out about the original theatrical release is it came out 2 weeks after E.T. And so E.T., like, you know, a timeless Spielberg classic, and the alien is nice. And so this came out,
Yeah.
and they're like,
Nice
oh yeah,
aliens.
screw you with your nice alien.
Yeah.
We're gonna scare your pants off.
E.T. was very pro alien.
Yes.
E.T. was produced by Big Alien.
Big. Follow the dollars
Yeah. It goes all the way to the top.
all the way to the top in space.
So for some miscellaneous details, I mentioned that MacReady's chess computer is the only female presence in this film.
Yeah.
And that this
Which,
movie,
by the way, he promptly kills.
yeah,
That's true.
literally drowns her
He
immediately in
drowns
like
her
whiskey or whatever.
He's like, "You're not allowed to win."
That is crazy.
Well, whenever I lose against anyone at chess, I immediately pour my J&B on them. So
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. It's symbolic.
For some additional miscellaneous details, the film actually had several different endings. And they brought people in to watch them to see kind of their reactions. And they ended up going with the ending that the movie currently has.
Yeah.
And then actually later when it was released and like screened on television, there was another ending that was edited into the film, and John Carpenter was like, I'm not associated with that ending. Like, he did not like that ending.
Well, the one that
at
was
all.
chosen.
No, the one that was screened on TV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, fun fact, at the very beginning of the movie,
Yeah, beginning's fine.
The
yeah.
beginning, it's like, you know, these scientists on a helicopter and they're trying to shoot this dog, and they're speaking Norwegian, and in Norwegian he says, "Get the hell out of there, that's not a dog, it's some sort of thing. It's imitating a dog, it isn't real. Get away, you idiots."
Oh my
So at the
God.
beginning,
If only
it
they had known
spoils the whole...
Norwegian.
If only they'd spoken
Dang.
Norwegian.
they just opened their Google Translate.
Literally.
Yeah.
If only they hadn't ruined the
Can
chess
you dig
computer.
it?
Yeah. Adrian Barbeau would have been like, he had said.
Yeah. The dog who plays the Thing throughout the first portion of the movie
my
is
God.
was played by a wolf dog called Jed. Born in 1977. It was Jed's first movie.
Oh, Jed.
He was amazing.
And he did so well.
He was so good.
I hear he got an Academy Award for Best Boy.
Goodest boy.
Goodest boy, yeah.
Goodest
boy.
He went on to appear in White Fang and White Fang 2, Myth of the White Wolf, and The Journey of Natty Gann. And he passed away in 1995. But
That's an old dog, though.
Yeah,
has
such a
since
big
with his
dog.
trainer received praise for his 1,000-yard stare as the Thing. That dog was insane in this
Yeah.
movie. The acting, the dog acting.
Yeah.
No, I
Crazy.
love like, and I don't think this is a spoiler because like the dog's just walking around the camp, right?
Yeah.
And like when he comes around a corner and he does the head tilt around the corner.
Literally,
I'm like,
Yeah.
wait.
literally insane.
Who
How
taught
did they
him
get
to
the
do
dog
that?
to do that?
That's
No,
crazy.
that was crazy.
No, that was amazing.
No, that was super amazing.
I want them to like release the footage before they've like fixed the sound, where it's like the dog walking down the hall, and it's like, Jed, come, stay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Check.
Jed.
Good check. Okay, Jed, come. Okay, Jed, stay. Good, Jed.
I've got one more like really cool miscellaneous detail, but I think that one we'll have to touch on in the spoiler
Into the
section.
spoiler section. Yeah. Curtis, any cool like trivia that you know off the top of your head? I know this is like one of your favorite movies,
Pre-spoiler.
right?
Pre-spoiler.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've covered a lot of them. I really like the idea that it's not so much for the actors, but for the director. It's his first big studio film. Like he had done all independent films up to this. Also, like that's pretty ballsy. Like it's your first big studio film, and you put John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Yeah. No,
Like that
pretty-
could have either gone really well or really badly.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it kind of went badly
Yeah.
at first.
Well, at first,
In
but like,
retrospect, like I think the movie is appreciated now, but at the
Yeah.
time it definitely wasn't.
I wonder if they just weren't ready for all the
They weren't ready for all that.
all the gore.
and it's just one of those that like it became a cult classic, and in other ways too. Now I'm not even going to try and pronounce the composer's name, which bad with music degrees. But the composer, first of all, this is the first film where John Carpenter wasn't also the composer. But
Wait, John Carpenter composed?
Yeah,
composed
he
Halloween.
composes.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, I
Wait.
think he goes like boop 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 on a synthesizer,
Right.
which is why you have Halloween. But the composer, he decided to kind of write it in the same style as John Carpenter's music, and I want to make sure I get my facts right, at least according to IMDb. But the at the time, because everybody's hating on this movie when it came out, it was nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Soundtrack.
No.
Ennio Morricone was the composer. I'm sure I said that wrong. But parts of the unused music for this film were later used by the composer for Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, and he won an Oscar for that soundtrack. So
Oh
Yeah.
my god, that's so crazy.
And I think it's really interesting that it was like not well received and like he lost contracts as a result of it, because there's a bunch of directors who now credit The Thing as like inspiration for their movies, and Tarantino's one of them. And so is Guillermo del Toro.
Whoa.
also.
Okay. I mean, the body horror, and I'll talk about that too in like the post spoiler section, I guess. But like the body horror in this film is incredible. I mean, one of the best.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
And then Kurt Russell is also in The Hateful Eight, actually.
Oh, really?
funnily enough.
That's
And it's
crazy.
also a movie about like distrust in
Yeah,
a group of
right,
people, with
right,
a group
right,
of people in a snowy place. Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah. I
does
mean,
he-
yeah.
But
true.
does he have the best beard and a four-cornered hat?
No, and there's no dog.
See?
So
Well,
really.
Nope.
Okay. Well, anything else that you guys might want to add before we move on to our post spoiler or spoiler section?
Just a moment of appreciation for Wilford Brimley, who
Oh, yeah.
who sold us cream of wheat back in the day, and also warned us about the dangers of diabetes. So
Yeah.
just some love for him, who is
Dr. Blair.
Dr. Blair, and he is very creepy in this movie. But
He is. Oh, he was great in it.
Yes.
He actually
It was
was
so good.
Was great. Okay, well then, before we move on to the spoiler section, if you haven't watched this movie but you think you might want to, stop listening now. Stop listening, watch the movie, and come back to the podcast. Beware, spoilers ahead.
But like keep it playing so that they get the credit for the play, and then come back and start it a second time,
Right.
Yes.
preferably on a different podcast app.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, you know.
Curtis knows all the ins and outs. I'm just like,
Thank you,
look.
Curtis.
Yeah, thank you, Curtis. So we can start with the good, bad, and spooky, but why don't we just say what our thoughts are overall on the movie, like specific scenes? Because I feel like we want to talk about so many of those.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I want to talk about one of my miscellaneous fun facts
Yeah,
that I couldn't
go
talk
for
about.
it.
But you know the scene where Doc's arms get chopped off
Yes.
by the Norris thing's
Yes,
stomach?
the stomach.
They used an amputee
Oh.
who did not have both arms, and they like put fake arms on him, and that is how they did that scene.
Whoa.
Isn't that insane?
That's
And
crazy.
they
That's cool,
they like
though.
apparently like cast a mask of the actor of the doctor, And
Really?
they just like threw the mask on the amputee and had him go like, "Ah!" And then that's why like in that one shot it's like from really far away.
Yeah.
It's like the mask.
Yeah. Oh, that
That's
was one
so
thing.
funny.
I wanted.
They
I
do
think
that.
that's the only
There
thing
was
I
another
skipped
thing,
over.
though, that
Oh,
you
the
wanted to
Norwegian
say.
camp.
Oh, yeah.
That they visit at the beginning of the film. That's actually the American camp set after they blew it up from the end of the film.
At the end?
So at the end of the film, the
Oh.
entire American camp blows up, and they, to save money, because they were like kind of spending a lot of money and they were over budget, they were trying to save money. So to do that, they just used the destroyed American camp as the Norwegian camp.
Yeah.
So those scenes were shot at the end.
Honestly, I didn't even tell.
Me neither.
But like, how could you really?
No,
It's
yeah, but
destroyed,
now
literally.
like if I go back and I like look around, like would I be able to tell? And like honestly,
know.
like probably not.
Probably
but
Because I've looked for that, and probably if you look really closely, you
Yeah.
can see it. Like the outside shots, you can kind of
Yeah.
tell. But like inside, it's just John Carpenter is so good at just making spaces look strange and unique that like you just like shot it and lit it in a
Yeah.
different way.
Yeah.
But,
it was pretty crispy too, so it's
Yeah,
hard to
that's true.
tell what
Yeah,
that was.
exactly.
But that's just so dang efficient. Like I feel like they consulted an educator. That was an educator brain.
Yeah.
Someone was like,
can I save money?"
we're gonna build 2 camps, and there's a teacher like, why don't you just blow up the first
Yeah.
one and then
Use that. Like when you were blowing up the
Exactly.
first one anyway. I
That's
think like it
literally
was
me.
someone's specific job to try to save money, and like that was an idea that they came up with to save money, and I was like, good on you, because they
Yeah.
spent $1.5 million on creature effects.
Yeah.
Which worth it. Worth it.
Worth it.
Worth it. I that was
100%.
my favorite
no,
part.
I mean, the thing, literally, the title of the film,
Yeah.
right, had to be memorable. And I think they achieved that 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time you see that dog, like
yes.
like with the whole
the tentacles. The tentacles are crazy.
those were crazy.
I mean, again, what a great dog actor.
Literally.
Like, they did
The
all his
dog
own
grew
stunts.
tentacles. Oh, that's crazy.
Jed, tentacle. Good tentacle.
Do a good tentacle.
Good tentacle.
What I love, and it's kind of like you can't go back and watch a movie for the first time again, but when I first saw this growing up, my dad showed it to me, but he did a really good job of not telling me anything. So I knew nothing going in. So
That's
I
so
was
good.
How old were you when you saw this movie? Do you
I would
remember?
have been like junior high-ish.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
probably before I should have been watching it. but
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't know anything, and I was like, oh, it's a creepy movie, and I'm not sure why it's creepy, but that's a cute dog. And now the dog has exploded, and now all the other dogs are dead. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
But I do like kind of appreciate there's like this like sort of fake movie scene like that's not that you wouldn't see in real life after where like Wilford Brimley is like, okay, you just watched this dog explode. Pause. I'm gonna talk to the audience for a second.
Yeah.
Here's what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I appreciate that scene, but it's kind of like it doesn't really suspend disbelief. But
Yeah.
like, I'm glad we had the little explanation.
Yeah.
And the little like Atari computer
Yes,
animation
with the
Atari
cells.
cells.
I love that. I really like the premise of this movie. Like, I like that we never see what the alien actually looked like.
Because it doesn't look like anything.
Because it doesn't look like anything.
Right.
Like, that's so scary. And it's just, I think the scariest thing about this movie is like the tension that you like see.
that it creates.
Yes.
100%. I think that's in my spooky like section too is
Yeah.
like the thing itself, like the alien is really scary, but
Yeah.
I think what's scarier is the tension that
Yes.
it builds between people like like they're all
Yeah.
buddies, like researchers,
They've been
colleagues,
out there
you
for
know,
a
like, been out for a
while.
while. They get along with each other, but all of a sudden you just introduce this one thing.
Yeah.
And
This
all
one
hell
thing.
breaks. It's this little tiny
just this-
alien
there's this
that like
thing.
becomes you.
Yeah. Like, I love the scene towards the end of the film where they're testing the blood.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Like, that
Yes.
scene is crazy. And at that point, they've just killed 2 of the researchers.
Yeah.
And both of them were not the thing. And I think whenever they test their blood, I think that was like really cool. Also, in that scene where Kurt Russell is holding the petri dish, whenever it has like the reaction from the thing, that was not his real hand. That was a prosthetic.
Yep.
But I like if you watch it, because there's a couple, there's a blood test or two before that
Yeah.
where it's the same shot and it's still the fake hand.
Yeah.
And I was watching like the making of, and John Carpenter was like, well, I didn't want to just have the fake
Yes.
hand for like the,
Yeah.
so I just had it in there a couple
They
other
prep
times.
you.
But
I never noticed it, to be completely honest with you. I was like, that's a hand. That's his hand.
Yeah.
Well, I also really like, they really set up Clark, who spends his time with the dogs. So
Yeah.
like, he's like the red herring of the movie. He's like a
Yes.
creepy dude. He is more comfortable with dogs
Yeah.
than people, which like, okay, cool, dude, same. But he's like, they really make it look like, oh, he has spent time alone with the dog. And then they have all this tension with him and like some of the other guys. And then, he goes to attack Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell just bam, shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
Because he's startled. And then, oh, it turns out you're a murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was not the thing.
That's one of the things. That's one of the things about the movie too. Is this guy tried to kill him, and so he totally had the right to like defend himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unfortunately, he hit it like it was a headshot.
Yeah.
But at that point, who do you trust?
Yeah.
They haven't tested each other. Whatever their blood.
Yeah.
Well, I also really like. There's a lot of the way. Well, okay, I'm gonna get a little nerdy. There's a lot of what's called split diopter in this movie, where you'll have somebody in the background on one side, someone in the foreground, and everyone's in focus.
Yes, I love when they do that.
Yeah,
because there's a shot where it's McCready and oh my god, what's his name? Fuchs.
Yeah.
That one is so good because I feel like usually whenever they do that, I don't really like it because you can tell like there's a weird thing in between
like a line
them
in the middle. Yeah,
but with this movie, like the scenes are so well done because in that scene specifically, it's really dark. Like Kurt Russell's literally in a lit door, but everything is dark, and then it's just Fuchs' face, and it looks fantastic.
And it's so creepy because it's a part of the movie where they're like starting to get really suspicious of each other, and if you watch like Kurt Russell like walks up, you can tell he's like, I'm not trying to scare you, but then Fuchs like grabs like a vial of like chemicals so he can like toss at him if he has to. But I like there's a lot of shots of Clark when he like grabs the scalpel and he's like hiding it.
I love that shot
behind his
much.
back, and it's like, and that's where that's in focus, and then McCready's in focus in the background. It's very, very, very cool.
There's some really great shots, like the cinematography. I think really lends itself well because it also kind of creates a sense of like claustrophobia, right? To where it's like you're in the middle of nowhere in this tiny base with this thing who could be anybody, and you just feel so trapped along with the team. And a lot of the shots really like it'll be in like a small room, and it's like from the corner of the room, and it's like it makes the room look even smaller sometimes. I think that's definitely something they did masterfully as well. Any other comments about any of the scenes of the film? And now I have like one question about specifically like. Well, I forgot my question, girl. It was about the thing specifically, like the alien. But no, I can't remember anymore. Dang. All questions have been answered just in the span of 3 seconds in my mind. So.
I think maybe there's something that Joan's not telling us.
Yeah.
I think we need to.
Joan, we need to test your blood real quick, if you don't mind.
Oh my god, the part where they just like cut their hands. I'm like, oh, okay, that's.
They were literally just cutting themselves open.
They're like, I need some blood. I'm gonna cut like a 3-inch gash up my entire thumb. But it's creepy though, because it's like. Because there's a specific, that's a specific type of body horror where you're like, with knives and needles.
Yes.
Like, I know I just watched a guy's head melt off and grow legs and crawl away.
Okay. That's my favorite part.
That is my favorite part.
That's my favorite part.
The spider head.
Yes. And okay, do you think that inspired like Toy Story? Like,
No, I don't know.
Dude, like, I saw it and I was like, dude, that's like Toy Story.
That's Toy Story.
Well, and the best, like that's the second best part. The best part is when like the pothead Palmer like turns around and sees like the thing like crawling away. And I don't know if I can swear or not, but he's like, but you gotta be fucking kidding. I'm like, that is, because that's exactly what you're thinking when you're watching it. And it's like not the best effect anyway, because 80s, and it's just like, you're like, oh, that's a thing on wheels with like little legs going like this.
Yeah, but it looks. I love it. I loved it.
So
it's all that mayonnaise and creamed corn and KY jelly, and it looks great.
Yep. Okay, so I think we can move on to the good, the bad, and the spooky.
Yes.
Right? We can start with Curtis. Would you like to start us off with that?
What you
thought was good and need some more work, and then the spookiest parts of the movie.
Okay. Are we doing like good, or we do like each of us in a row.
I think good.
Okay,
Good.
good. All right.
Good. Bad. Spooky.
So yeah, I would say if I'm kidding around, like the part where the guy's head melts off and then he shoots his tentacle at the chair and then reels himself in and then grows legs and walks away. Because I have been in many a meeting where I want to do that with my head and crawl away. But then just the way they really capture the claustrophobia and the mistrust, I really, really, really think is effective.
Agreed.
Mariana?
Yeah, I freaking love a movie set in the 80s. I love everything about it. I love their outfits. I love their hair. I love McCready's hat.
The hat.
And
Wait, we didn't talk too much about the
We
hat.
didn't talk about the hat.
Wait.
The hat. Literally so iconic.
Okay, listener, if you have not seen the movie,
Just look up a picture of
just
hat.
freaking look at this hat. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of this hat?
Does it need a purpose? It's badass.
Did we find out?
We were
No,
like
I mean-
talking about it and we were like, I think this is just like a stylistic choice that McCready makes. Like, I don't think this is
That's his style.
yeah, like that's his literal like his fashion sense, because I can't imagine that hat would serve a purpose.
Well, it just doesn't seem like it would serve any purpose
Exactly.
whatsoever, right?
Exactly.
Like it doesn't cover the sun because
No.
the front is, and I feel like it would gather snow on the
Yes.
top, making it heavier.
Yeah.
So it's like, why?
It literally makes no sense, but
It
that makes me love it
literally no
more.
sense.
I had to mention that I love that hat. I saw that hat and immediately I was like, my jaw was on the floor. Like, I love it. I love it. And I love his like whole like, I don't care, like I'm cool. I just want to go hang out in my shack.
I want to be McCready when I grow up.
Which we never see his shack. Do we?
No, it's when he plays chess and he
Oh,
he locks
that's
him
in
up,
the
right?
shack? Okay.
Yeah, he locks him up in there.
He's a very good role model. He's not at all an alcoholic. He's not at all like a
No.
coded, like traumatized Vietnam vet in
That's
the early
right.
80s.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And then I just have the walking head. That's my good
Great.
too. That actually, I
Great
really love
special
that.
effects. That's
Yeah.
from the 80s. I love that.
Joan, what's your good?
So I absolutely love the premise of the thing, like the monster itself.
Yes.
Like I just, especially too, like I think as a biology geek, it was like, oh my god, the cells are taking over, and
Yeah.
it's like imitating.
Oh my God,
No, this
it's
is my question. I
evolving.
remembered my question.
Oh my God.
Yay. Okay, so you know how the cells like take over the
Yes.
So like the thing becomes
Yeah.
the organism that it's taking over.
Yes.
So like, do you think? So like, it gains all the memories and knowledge.
It must, because those men are all talking to each other and
Like,
several
like
of
they
them are the
know.
thing.
And so then, like, do you think that you, okay, so like your consciousness,
Yes.
would your consciousness, like, would you be the alien now? You're like, I guess I'm an alien. Or would you, like, be possessed? Or would you cease to exist?
I think you wouldn't know that you're the thing.
I think you're dead.
You
Yes.
think you're dead? So, like, you
Wait,
die.
really?
So, like, it's like you go to sleep inside of yourself.
And the
you're
thing
no longer
takes
a thing.
over?
I think you're dead. I think it consumes you. But
Okay.
in some way it gains all of your information and your memories, and maybe the copy doesn't know if it's the thing because it's such a good copy. But like the actor that plays
But the thing reacts to the thing reacts to decisions and choices from the other characters that would reveal it as the thing. So it has to know.
I guess it's like because on the set they like debated this a lot. Like,
They
would you know or
did.
would you not know?
Oh, okay.
But there's I saw an interview with the actor that plays Norris, and there's a scene where like the captain's like, I shouldn't be in charge anymore. Norris, you're a good dude. Like, you should be in charge. And he's like, I don't know. I'm not.
He's not up to it.
And that actor was like, I interpreted that as something is wrong. Like, I don't know what's wrong, but something is wrong, and I don't think it's a good idea for me to be in charge. Whether it's not a good idea for me to be in charge because I am going to murder all these people, or it's like, oh, I should not be in the spotlight
He
because
seemed like-
they'll figure me
But
out.
then-
He seemed
then-
very level-headed.
But then that means that you are still existing on some level. You're not technically dead.
I would want to know like what with this creature. It flew a spaceship. It's got some kind of intelligence,
It's-
Right.
But I would
smart.
want to know what is intelligence and what is instinct. Like if it just instinctively imitates, and then when it needs to, when its existence is threatened, or like it needs to like have a like on a subconscious level or on an instinctive level, like, okay, time to reproduce. I'm gonna eat these Malamutes real quick. But
okay, so
but I don't know.
kind of instinctive, like activation of instinct.
Maybe. And also, who's to say if like that's like you could take it a step further? Is that the alien that was like that owned that spaceship, or was that spaceship like getting infected by the thing and just crashed on Earth?
Oh,
I never thought about
I hadn't
that.
thought about that. Wait, have you seen because I have not seen the 2011 movie, which is
The
actually
prequel?
a sequel. Well, no, not a sequel, a prequel.
A prequel, okay.
And
No, I
it's
have
about
not
the
seen that.
Norwegian camp.
No.
Have you seen it, Curtis?
I have not.
Because I think in that one they like show the discovery of
yeah.
Okay,
of
yeah.
the spaceship. That would have been worth a
should
watch
watch
before
it.
recording. We should watch it. But
That's
such a good question.
That's my question. Like if the thing took over me, am I still Joan, or am I like somehow I'm like shut
Yeah.
down, and it's like the thing controlling my actions?
Yeah.
So I would really like an answer to that. I mean,
Let's just call John up.
Mr. Carpenter.
John.
We have a very important question. But maybe like part of the mystery is what makes it so creepy
Yes.
as well. To where it's
Absolutely.
like you don't actually know. Like, can you trust
Yeah.
this person fully because they're now the alien, or whatever?
Yeah, and that's how the movie ends too. It ends in this like question.
Yes.
Of like, are either of them the thing?
That's actually part of my good too. Like the ending to this movie is so incredible. Like I
Yes.
think that was my favorite part. Like literally the last 30 freaking seconds when it's just like two dudes looking at each
Yeah.
other and they're just like, can I trust you?
And some of the other endings that they tested with audiences were, well, there's one where MacReady becomes the thing. And
Oh, I
then
didn't know
he
that.
gets
Interesting.
rescued, or I don't know if it was shot or just written, but he becomes the thing, and then he gets rescued like in the spring. So that's
but
one.
he's the thing.
There's another one where they reveal like one of the, because there's one. I think it's Knowles, the cook. He's with them at the end when they're like in that basement area, and then he disappears. Like we never see him be taken over by the thing. You just assume that it happens. There was an ending where he like kind of comes up to them at the end, and you're like, oh, clearly he's the thing. But they ended up going with this one, and I think John Carpenter like talked to some of the audience members, or the audience member asked him, he's like, okay, like so what's the deal? Like, is one of them the thing? And John Carpenter was like, it's up to you. And the guy was like, I fucking hate that.
I like that because I've also read they had another ending where they just have like a dog like running away.
Yes, that's the ending that
A
John
dog?
Carpenter did. Yeah, a dog, the thing, running
Yeah.
away, and that's the ending that from what I remember reading, that's what they put on TV, and that's what John Carpenter did not like, and he was like, I
Yeah.
do not claim that ending.
Yeah, and then I also
That's the worst ending, I think. in
Yeah,
my
I hate
opinion.
I might be mixing up with one of the endings you mentioned, but I think I also read like the studio was kind of like, can you guys like make a happy ending
Yes,
just in case?
yeah.
And like there's one where so like MacReady gets rescued and they blood test him and he's okay.
Yeah.
And like that's not really how
Yeah.
the story would
Boring.
go.
Yeah.
No, because it doesn't fit with the theme and the
It's
morale of the
corny.
story. Like,
I remember. I think I
It's
read
too
about.
corny.
It's corny.
It's too
It's
corny.
not. I love
and
the ending.
I love a movie where
I
evil
know.
prevails.
Okay.
I do love a good bad ending.
No, you love
Does
that.
it though? Because it's possible that they blew it all up.
It's possible.
It is.
But the point is that there is no longer trust between the two men.
Yeah.
And so ultimately what I think happens after the credits roll
Yeah.
is they end up killing the other. Like one of them ends up killing the other.
Well, and they also,
That's what I think.
They also
would
talked
happen.
about having maybe they like both kill each other like in a little
Yeah.
suicide pact.
Oh yeah, so that the thing can't.
Well,
like,
they're just
continue
like,
to
well,
reproduce.
do we want to just sit here and freeze to death, or we just want to
Yeah.
get it over with?
Oh yeah.
But I also like that. I like when MacReady is just like, look, if like we're gonna surprise each other, like neither one of us can do anything about
Yeah.
it. So
I like to think they freeze to death because
Yeah.
I don't know, like they're so exhausted. I think
Well, the thing can't freeze to death.
that's true. I don't think
at least one of them freezes to death.
I don't think
If one of
either
them
of
is
them
the
are
thing.
the thing.
I don't think so either.
I don't think either of them are the thing. And I think at that point, because I feel like there's a change in Kurt Russell's character, MacReady, when he realizes that he murdered someone who was
Yeah.
innocent.
Yes.
And so I think at the end of the movie, he's just done, and he's kind of come to terms with just dying and okay with that, because it means that this thing isn't gonna go out into the world and like literally take over the world. So I think that he's like, you know what? I'm cool. I'm chill.
Well,
but then there's also, Childs. So
yeah. Well, I also because I didn't watch the whole thing with the director's commentary. I have before because I'm that kind of nerd. But I kind of reviewed a couple things earlier.
Yeah.
And at the because it's John Carpenter and Kurt Russell doing the commentary.
Yeah.
At the very end, Kurt Russell's like, yeah, but we decided MacReady was human, right? And John Carpenter was like, maybe. And Kurt Russell was like, screw you.
Love that
oh my
so
God,
much
I love
because
that.
as the audience, we don't know.
Yeah.
The last we knew of MacReady, he had jumped to escape the explosion or whatever, and then all of a sudden he comes up. But it's like, well, did you blow up the thing?
How much later was that though?
We don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And so
That's the
that's
thing.
the thing.
So was
The
Childs
thing
or
is-
Kurt Russell,
Yeah.
right? Or both.
So I think neither of them are the thing.
Yeah, I
But I
agree.
feel like that's the theme / moral of the entire story.
Yeah.
It's more of humans are so quick to distrust or distrust each other.
It's terrifying.
It takes, look, an alien from outer space is no small thing, okay?
No.
So it's a big thing.
Yeah.
But really, it doesn't take much,
No.
Like, if you take into account, like for example, Lord of the Flies. Let me bring a little literature.
Okay, English
I was
class.
to say, we've got the ELA teacher here.
Yeah.
But really, Lord of the Flies, that book is all about the breakdown of society.
Yeah.
When you're in this dire of a situation, which is
Yeah.
very similar to what this film is
For
about.
sure.
You know what I mean? Like the breakdown, man's descent into savagery,
Yes.
if you
It's
will.
honestly so scary. I think many zombie shows, The
Yeah,
Walking Dead,
exactly. Yeah.
The Last of Us. At first, the scary thing is the zombies, but
Yeah.
then it becomes people
Yeah.
have just completely
And they
disregarded
also
all
it's they
morals.
test each other, right? To where it's
Yeah.
you're infected, and so
Exactly.
you mistrust everyone because
Yeah.
you don't know when this person's gonna turn into a zombie.
Yeah.
If they're infected.
And I think it's interesting that the thing, it's so hardwired to survive.
Yeah.
And it's got this crazy instinct for survival.
Yeah.
And I think that humans do as well.
Yes.
And that is why all that tension and distrust happen in the film. And that's why we see that in all of these movies. And it's scary.
Yeah.
I think we all have that instinct for survival, and you become selfish and you're only
Yep.
thinking about yourself.
Yep. And then there's also the dread of becoming something other than yourself.
Yes. And not knowing.
And not knowing
That you
maybe
might-
even.
yeah.
Or knowing even how it works. It's
Yeah.
the same as possession, right?
Yeah.
You're afraid of this thing taking over your body
Yeah.
and being you, but it's
Yeah.
not you.
Having
autonomy over
yes.
your own body.
That's
or
so scary.
I was gonna save this for my spooky, but we're kind of segueing into
Let's
it
go
anyway.
into it. Yeah.
Let's go into the spooky
let's
and then we'll do
segue.
the bad.
Yeah, we'll do the bad last.
Okay.
Okay, spooky, Curtis.
So originally, because I before yesterday I hadn't seen this for years, and it used to be just the tension was what was spooky to me. Specifically when Bennings and they catch him mid transformation, and he
Yes.
has the weird messed up arms. He's "Rah!"
Yeah.
That
Oh,
used
yeah.
to scare me. And I don't want to get too depressing, but now what is scary to me is John Carpenter has kind of said that it's not like they were intentionally doing an allegory to the AIDS epidemic, but this was made in 1982 and it was
Yeah.
on everyone's mind.
Yeah.
Right, so you
And-
can't help but draw parallels.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so just the idea of is this a safe person to be around? And to be clear, I know how HIV works, but in 82 they didn't so
Yeah.
much. Is this a safe person to be around?
Yeah.
Can I be around this person, or is this person who they say they are? Are they telling the
Yeah.
truth? Are they going to infect me? This is the first time I've seen it since COVID. And I'm not going to try and equate the AIDS epidemic with COVID, but there was definitely this moment in the pandemic that those of us that are, well, I'll say generously our age, because I'm a different age than y'all, but those of us that are our age that didn't go through the AIDS epidemic as adults, we had this moment in COVID where okay, well, there's this virus. We don't really know a lot about it yet. We're going to, but we're all going to stick together. We're all going to stay safe. And, our society's going to take care of us. And there was this moment where we realized when we were getting, and I'm not going to get political, but there's this moment when we were getting different information from different parts of the government, whether it was local or state or federal, and you're like, oh, well, surely they're not going to ask us to like go back to work like before we think it's safe, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't know if we're saying where we are, but our state opened things very fast. And so there was just this moment where you're like, oh, no one is coming to help. We are like every man, woman, and be for themselves. We are all on this on our own. And okay, so you have been asked to go back to work, and that's a crowded elevator. And are you going to get in there? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And like so,
Good luck.
yeah, and just the feeling of isolation that creates when you are completely on your own, even when you're around other people. Which now I see that movie in a completely different lens.
Yeah.
And so that is what is really spooky to me.
That's a really great analysis of that film.
Yeah.
And honestly, it applies so well to like pandemics and epidemics. I actually didn't connect the two.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, just the feeling of helplessness. Like, oh, I was certain that these systems that we have in place are going to take care of us, and you're like, oh no, they are not. We are okay,
Right.
on our own. Cool.
And then to sort of extend that too, it's like, because, especially with COVID, like sometimes you were asymptomatic, but you were still contagious. And it's like, how much do I trust this person that I've known for, X amount of time to be safe so I can be safe around them? And like, we created COVID bubbles, but ultimately that person was in other person's COVID bubbles. And that person was in other bubble. And you kept going. And so it's like, how do you trust somebody to keep you safe when you don't know what their intentions are, or even what, even if they might not know.
Yeah.
Right? Scary, that's super
so
Like
scary.
the cough side eye.
Yes.
Like, you coughed 3 times.
Right.
I swear, it's just allergies. I swear.
In 2000.
Just allergies. Okay, I need to poke your blood with a hot needle.
Yeah. Kurt Russell, get in here.
Russell, save us all. Mariana?
So my spooky was, I mean, we've talked about it now a lot, but it is that tension and that distrust between all the characters, as a result of trying to figure out who the thing is. Like, that was terrifying to me, because something I mentioned that I love, but I love the creature effects, and they were just so crazy and weird looking that it wasn't as scary, but it really is just the general vibe. The general vibe in
yes, absolutely,
in this outpost, that was just really, really scary.
Yeah, for me, the spooky too, like the body horror is absolutely incredible, but it's almost like a metaphor for like somebody who appears totally normal, quote unquote normal on the outside, but on the inside is this horrible creature. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what mistrust is born from. Yeah. To where it's like, you don't actually know somebody on the inside. You don't know their thoughts. Yeah. They could seem like a totally cool person. And, like, unfortunately, like, people who are victims of real life monsters, if you will, like that happens all the time. When you look at serial killers too, like Jeffrey Dahmer, for example, like very attractive people who like lure you, and they end up becoming monsters.
And they're really good at acting like they're really good at acting, an average person, imitating
the average person, if you will. So I really think like the spookiest thing of the movie is the fact that they're just regular people on the outside. And you do not know if there's a monster inside. Yes. Yeah. I love that. John Carpenter.
John Carpenter. King.
Okay, Curtis, what about the bad?
I give I don't really blame them a whole lot for this, but there's definitely some like stop motion special effects at the end where they're you're like, 80s. It's all like new. And actually, like, there was more that they cut out because they were like,
looks bad. It don't look good. It don't look good.
But
oh my God.
And also like let's have all genders in our movies. But
right, yes.
John, come on.
Mar.
I don't have a lot to say about the bad. I really love this movie. I don't like that they killed all the dogs.
Oh, that's true.
I do think it had to be done.
Yeah.
And watching this movie.
Interesting how they killed all the dogs, but they didn't kill all the humans.
I think Blair was on his way.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Well, okay. I do think it was a plot twist to find out that Blair was the thing because I didn't see that coming.
No. When do you think he became infected?
I think it had to be early on because they locked him up.
Well, they locked him up because he went cray
total
cray.
psycho. He went.
Yeah.
I think he was gonna. I think he was like, I'm gonna kill all y'all.
Yeah.
Like,
but when did he become the thing?
I think like they locked him out in the shed, and then like who knows, like how
somewhere in there,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the shed.
Oh, but
I thought it must have happened before they locked him in the shed because he wouldn't have had contact with anybody. So
I think the thing just came in. The thing just like oozed into the shed.
Yeah.
might have,
Okay,
yeah.
that was the other crazy part about the movie. It's like, okay, like if the thing can survive in just like a little bit of blood, like if just at the cellular level, like how are you making sure you like cleaned up and burned all the
Yeah.
blood?
There's no way.
There's no way.
Literally no way.
We know we did this. Wash your hands. Say your ABCs.
As a
Sing happy birthday.
As a microbiology major, I'm like, there's no way.
No,
There's really no way.
Ain't
All
no
look
way.
at all those
There's
cells
no.
over there.
There's some trace the thing in there.
Look at all the cells.
No, literally.
I kind of feel like it's like when he was like, because there was a moment when he like is in the shed and he like tied a noose. And
Yes.
then there's another moment, and then sometime after that, they're like, he's like, hey man, I'm all better.
I'm all good.
Yes.
I'm chill.
When he was all better.
Because I think before he got infected, he was like, I think he was going to kill them all, whether he was going to shoot them or not. Cause
Yeah.
Or kill himself.
Yeah, because he like destroyed the chopper. He destroyed all their vehicles. Like
Yep.
he was like
Their radios,
He's
everything.
like, we're either gonna freeze to death or I'm gonna shoot y'all. Like,
Yeah.
take your pick.
Yeah. So for me, the bad, and this might just be so I've never seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm.
This was last night, literally was the first time I ever watched this movie. I think older movies sometimes, like, I'm taken out of it because of I mean, you know, it's a little hokey, you know,
Yeah,
like when
it is
you
a
go
little
back and
hokey.
when you
Yeah,
go back
yeah,
and look
for
at it now,
sure.
it's hard to immerse myself sometimes in that movie.
Yeah.
But I can't fault the movie for being made in the 80s. You know what I mean?
No.
So I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And
too.
that being said, what would you rate this movie? We're going to rate this movie in how many corners your hat would have if you were a scientist in Antarctica. Curtis, start us off. You can have a maximum of 5 points.
Okay. I was gonna say all 5 corners. Then.
All 5 corner
All 5
hat.
corners. Kurt Russell, I see your 4-cornered hat, and I raise you an additional corner.
An additional corner. Excellent. Mar?
I love that. I think I would have 4.5 corners.
4.5 corners. Yeah.
Only because it didn't have any women in it.
True. That was the most disappointing part. Yes, period.
I think
There's
that's
a period in
it.
there.
I think no period actually because there's no women there. So,
Not all women
but
have periods.
other than that, like, and even though they kill the dogs, I love this movie so much.
Yeah,
it's
a good movie.
So
It's a good movie.
It's so good.
I would give it 4.
Okay,
I'd give it 4. Like
just a regular
just a
Kurt
regular
Russell hat.
Kurt Russell
Yeah.
4-corner hat for sure. So now we're going to see if Letterboxd agrees with our ratings. In this section, we're going to read memorable Letterboxd reviews that are interesting, especially insightful, or downright hilarious. Emphasis on the hilarious part because that's really all I put on here. But I'll read the first one. We can take turns if y'all want.
Yeah.
But Karsten gave it 5 stars or 5 corners on the hat. And they said, a bit of a downer to watch this before embarking on a trip to Antarctica with my boys tomorrow.
Wait, who's just going to
The boy
Antarctica?
trip. Oh, I'm sure they were just like, boy trip to Antarctica.
Okay, I actually like they have these cruises where you can go down to Antarctica. They leave from like
Yeah.
I think
Probably
Argentina.
Alaska or something?
They live from
okay.
And then, and I really want to do one, but you can only go in like a certain time of year. And we're always working because we're teachers. But
yeah.
I actually do want to go to Antarctica with the boys
That'd
and
be
the
so
girls.
Yeah, I was saying. I did read that it's a tradition at British Antarctic research stations to watch this every year.
Wait, really? That's really cool.
And the Midwinter Feast every 21st of June.
I do want to add that on Letterboxd, this movie, wow, I've never seen a rating this high on Letterboxd. It has 4.4 stars on Letterboxd.
4.4. Yeah, it's actually a really popular film.
But it only has 85 on Rotten Tomatoes, 85% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for the internet, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I think so too.
The internet always
and
goes out of
girl-
its way to think good things about things.
Yeah.
So.
I'm
Good
gonna
things
reveal
about the
how
thing.
like big dumb I am right now. I'm actually horrible at geography. Like if you ask me where anything
Did
is,
you
I'll
think
be
it
like,
was up
yeah. I was like, wait. It's actually up north, right?
Okay, when you said Alaska, I was like, I know he doesn't think it's up north.
Literally, I literally was like, wait.
So
when you said which Argentina or something,
let me cover. For you. Let me cover for you. It's because just nod because you saw the 1950s one first, and that one does take place in the Arctic.
Oh, okay, there you go. Oh, the Arctic.
Yeah.
You know, this is why I was confused. Because Arctic sounds a lot like Antarctica.
No, that's on whoever named them.
My ESL ass is
in front of it, as in the negative.
Oh.
Wow.
Learned something new today. Thank you, Curtis.
Wait, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Anyway, it's a good thing I'm cute. Do you want to read the next one, Curtis?
I take issue with the next one because it's funny though. Among Us, the movie. No.
Among Us, the movie.
Among Us is the thing, the game.
No, yeah, for sure,
yes,
for sure, absolutely.
That's true. Mar?
I'll read the next one.
Yeah.
So I actually think none of the guys got turned. I actually think some of those guys were just extremely random.
Just this random guy.
That review was written by The Thing.
Yeah.
We forgot the love story in the movie. The love story between The Thing and Windows when they had their big kiss.
Oh!
No, wait. I don't remember that.
When Palmer, when they're doing the blood test, and then he goes, "Come here, Windows," and you've ever wanted to kiss somebody so bad you open up your entire head,
no, that
and
shit
then
was
you
crazy.
grab their neck with a tentacle and you bring it to you.
Yes,
no, that was crazy.
And then you lift them up in the air in ecstasy.
Oh my god!
And then you get blowed up by dynamite.
And then this review by Jay. Would I trust Kurt Russell with my life? Absolutely. Would I trust Kurt Russell with my dog? Not a chance in hell.
It was Wilford Brimley that killed the dogs anyway.
That's true.
Any last thoughts about the movie The Thing?
You should watch it. It is creepy.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yes, listen.
I love that it's a tradition to watch it.
Let's just say this.
If you're there.
Maybe I'm giving you an out, John Carpenter. Maybe he was like, look, if there was a woman here, they would have had this shit sorted.
Yeah. Okay, that was one of the things that I was thinking. Like, the second time I watched the movie especially, it's like, what would I have done in this situation? And I have no fun. Okay, what I would have done is everybody go in your rooms and don't come out. Mm-hmm. How about everybody go in your rooms and don't come out?
The quarantine?
Yeah. Why didn't they quarantine themselves?
Well, but like The Thing wouldn't have stayed in their room, though.
No, that's true.
14 days to flatten the thing.
To flatten the thing?
We did 14 days to flatten the curve.
That
joke was really funny 4 years ago.
Okay, and that about does it for today. Listeners, thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the podcast, tell your friends about us, and don't forget to rate us 5 stars in whatever app or podcast service you use to bring on the spooks.
Please follow us on our socials by going to scarymovienights.com. Our 2 most used social media platforms right now are Instagram and Facebook, so you can just search Scary Movie Nights on either platform and you should find us.
You can also message us through our socials or by sending an email to spooky@scarymovienights.com. Tell us what you think about The Thing. Did you watch it? Is it your thing? How many corners in your hat?
How many corners would your hat
have? My name is Joan.
And I'm Mariana.
And I'm Curtis, or am I?
Oh, and thanks for joining us for another Scary Movie Night. See you in 2 weeks.
Stay spooky. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Where am I?
That was good, Curtis.
That was fun.
Good.
Do I push stop now?
Yes.
Yeah, you can press stop.